hyperrealism, so it's kind of hard to describe my work without actually showing it to y'all. But if you do want to check out my work, it's my Instagram is ROCKYSAHOO.ART. I can send it out to Rajbhai if y'all do want to take a look. But a lot of my work, in its earlier stages, I used to do a lot of hyperrealism. I used to draw portraits for people. And then in high school, from the Uriya community, a lot of Uriya people would commission me to do portraits of their children or of their loved ones or someone who's passed away. And I think I did about like 30 to 40 portraits over the course of high school. And then I started doing more surrealism. I started doing more collages. I started going crazy with my work. I started doing mural work. I did a painting for a temple. It's Sri Ram Mandir in Plano. It's still hanging up, and it's of Hanuman and Shiva. And it's still hanging up at the Sri Ram Mandir. So once I entered college, that's when I started doing music production. So my friend Diego, I remember going to Austin, and he just showed me music production equipment. And I remember just looking at the board, and my ADD kicked in, and I was like, this is something that I really, really want to pursue. And I remember going to my first EDM show, which was just a DJ who was just playing. I didn't know what it was, but it's where a DJ is just making beats on the spot, just making whatever on the spot. People don't know what they're listening to. And that spurred my interest, because it's a space where people don't know what it is, but they're drawn to it because it's the DJ who's creating the sound in front of people. And that's something that I really want to pursue, is that art of creation, that art of showing something to people that's unfamiliar, that that people don't know. And that's what it is. It's being an artist is you presenting yourself to the world, and you being yeah, you don't know me, you don't know my work, you don't know what I do, right? But that's the point. That's the point of art. That's the point of being a creative person. So I started music production 2 years ago. I made a music page. It's called 6'7", 6FUT7. And from there, I was just documenting my music journey. I have a couple videos that made it pretty well view-wise. I was able to get gigs almost every other weekend, and it would be for gigs that weren't even request-based. It would just be it would just be people asking to hear my music, or people wanting to hear, oh, I want to hear what you made. And that to me felt really good, just because I felt yes, it's something unfamiliar, but people were willing to recognize it, because people who understand art, that's my community. So my goal, I'm a UX designer at Cognizant right now. So what I do for my main career is I'm a UX designer, so I design software. But my actual passion is creating music, and it's this thing called techno, or house music. But I really want to dive into just continuing to produce music for people. And I play all the instruments. I do the drums, I do the keyboard, I do the guitar. I'll add vocals here and there too. But yeah, it's just the art of creation. That's something that's really important to me. I've also been playing piano for the past 10 years. I do Bollywood covers, so Bollywood covers on the piano. And that's what really kickstarted music production for me. So I started doing piano, and then it rolled over into production where I got synthesizers. I was able to create whatever sound I wanted to create. And that's something that I want to pursue to the fullest extent. I want to create sounds that people can't even perceive of hearing. Frequencies that exist that people especially my biggest inspirations right now. I love Metro. He's really good. Mike Dean, he produced For the Weekend. I recently got in touch with Kodak Black's producer, Killshot, and then Kevin Gates' producer. So I'm in touch with their production network, and I'm set to release my first music video next week. So that's where things are going right now. But I would say, I think Rajbai was asking me, like, telling me that, like, to talk about my obstacles, and I think one of the biggest obstacles that I've ever had to face was definitely my ADD. But I think it's also been a superpower as well. So, thank you so much. Thank you.
Rocky, thank you so much for that story. I appreciate it. I appreciate your journey. More power to you. Best of luck. I'd like to hand it over to Saurav, who's based out of Capel. Saurav is going to Virginia Tech, computer science guy, dancer, rapper. So I've gotten to know Saurav over the last couple of months, and one of the things is I do feel like he's very positive in the community in the next gen space. I think he's got a lot of friendships in the group, and that's what's going to make this group stronger. So with that, I'd like to give it to
Hi, yes, I'm Saurav Raut, and I guess for me, my journey has been, from a very young age, I was put into a lot of stuff. You know, I was in scouts, I was in sports, I was in dance, and what really started to emerge, what really started to pique my interest was, you know, the grind that people take to get better at their thing, you know, the journey that people are on. And so from a young age, you know, I always loved to compete, I always loved to play sports. I played a lot of sports, I was in Taekwondo as well. And so then eventually, you know, started going into more specific stuff. In middle school, I played a little of football, mostly soccer and basketball and dance. I played for Elite Green Basketball, B-Elite Basketball. I was gonna ask, what camp did you play for? Okay, cool. I played for Elite Green. I played soccer. And I guess as time went on, if you can't tell, you know, I'm not like, you know, 6'6" like Ryan. I quit basketball, and you know, soccer wasn't really that popular in America. Still makes me sad, you know. So many things that I like to watch, none of my friends really watch. But yeah, so as time went on, I started, you know, trickling out of a lot of sports. I followed my brother's footsteps going into Frisbee, and we had a club team in our high school. His cousin actually played for our team, and it really reignited, you know, like that grind set, you know, wanting to, work hard, you know, and like I can't think of any real obstacles. Real obstacles off the top of my head, but I just know, you know, the grind. You know, there's always going to be obstacles, but yeah. So that made me realize, this sports is not about, you know, just making it pro, just making it this, that. You know, it's about, you know, resilience. It's about, you know, like no one sees what the work you do behind closed doors. Whenever we started that club, the Frisbee club, it was only 4 of us, and we expanded it to 25 players. We got 3rd in state. You know, we saw players like get more athletic, you know, fall in love with the sport. And you know, I think whenever you love sports, it's not one specific sport. It's like you can respect other people in other sports. And so yeah, from then I knew I wanted to go into sports. I should also mention I love dance. But yeah, I love the grind and dance too. But from then, that's when I knew I wanted to go into sports, and never really knew how to go about it. I knew that, like, you know, AI was a big thing in sports, but it seemed a little bit niche. But you know, I kept at it, and I'm a big believer in fate. And one day, my best friend, he's like, "Yo, I'm going to this MIT conference, Sloan Sports Analytics Conference," and I couldn't go with him the first year that he went, but I went with him the second year. We had like a trip, me and my friends, and that's when I realized you got some really, really passionate people. You know, people who used to be in sports, and I thought that was amazing. And so from then on, I knew I wanted to do that. and I never really had anyone to go to for like that specific stuff. You know, AI was still developing. All my friends in computer science, even my parents, both computer science, they didn't really know much about it. So I eventually, started researching on my own. And this past semester, I had a big project where I created a soccer match model predictor. And yeah, I'm very excited to see what comes next. I have an AI internship, and yeah, that's mainly my story. I don't really got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. Rocky really set the stage. Maybe I should have done last. But yeah, I mean, I love sports, for all the reasons I said, and this is my contribution to, the beautiful life. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Awesome job. And I appreciate you guys, again, for volunteering on this panel. I'd like to now shift over to Ryan. Ryan is from Capel, born in Capel. He's a major in economics. And the reason why he did economics is because they don't have a business school, undergraduate business school at Stanford. But if you know, Ryan plays basketball for Stanford. He's been featured in the last year, especially I think the other game was against Virginia with the other Indian guy, Ishan Sharma, right? So hey, we've got some guys in D1 basketball. But with that being said, I'd like to give Ryan the mic.
Thank you, Raj. What's going on, guys? My name is Ryan Agrawal. I was born and raised in Capel, not too far here from Frisco. And yeah, I'll just give you a little rundown of kind of from my beginning to where I'm at now. I have one parent that's Oriya, my dad, and my mom was from South India. So they both actually met in Dallas when they were doing their masters. And this kind of set that stage for how my life went, because they broke a little bit of a barrier, boundary, when they didn't get arranged marriage. My mom's Christian, my dad's Hindu, and so naturally you wouldn't arrange, two people from two different sides. And they met here, and that was the first time anyone on my dad's side hadn't got arranged. None of the siblings, all the siblings got arranged. He was the only one that didn't. And so naturally, kind of from then, my parents were already kind of barrier breakers, and that's the way they kind of raised me and my siblings. As I grew up, I was super blessed. They put me in sports, which not a lot of Indian parents do always. I think the new generation is starting to do it more, and I love to see it. But it wasn't really that common when I was being raised. And so my mom and dad played a little bit here, cricket in the backyard, some basketball here and there, but nothing crazy. And I naturally loved sports as soon as I started playing them. Kind of stuck with basketball to an extent. I obviously got a little bit of an advantage with the height, so that really helped me kind of identify which sport I really loved. And started playing just kind of recreationally and stuff. Loved it. I had a lot of good friends, met a lot of good people, surrounded myself with great people playing the sport. And as I got older, I started like 6th, 7th grade. I was kind of like, man, I think I could, potentially try to see if I want to play on a national circuit a little bit, travel with the travel team. And so my parents, investing a lot of money and time, decided to put me on a team during the summer that would travel. So I went to this new organization, playing on this team, and now I started to realize that basketball kind of can take you places. I was going to, I'm too young, but I was going to Las Vegas. I was going to, places all across the country, just for the sport of basketball game, something that I love. And that's also when I started to realize how much time and money my parents were investing in me, and how much I'm really getting out of this because of them. And so from 7th to 8th to 9th grade, I was playing middle school. I was having a lot of fun. I was traveling, starting to play a little bit more. And going into high school, I never really had a goal of playing college basketball, so I was just to make the high school team. And going into my freshman year, I just wanted to make the JV team. I thought I was good enough to get past the freshman team, but just wanted to make the JV team. And played really well. They ended up actually moving me to varsity my freshman year, which was really cool and all, but I was super young, scrawny, didn't have the genes, and it was super hard to compete with those guys. You're a 14, 15-year-old playing with 18-year-olds, and so in that scenario, it was pretty tough. But looking back on it, playing freshman varsity, playing on varsity as a freshman was probably the best thing that could happen to me because, I started learning the physicality of the game early. And that summer going into my sophomore year, I took a step back and realized, man, I just made varsity as a freshman. I have an opportunity to do something great here if I really, really take basketball seriously. So that summer I started really locking in. I was meeting with a teammate that was a senior at the time when I was a freshman. And we were going at 5 a.m. every morning, hitting the gym early from 5:30 to 6:30. We'd go back and get like a breakfast burrito from McDonald's or like a breakfast sandwich or something like that, and then go to some high school workouts where we lifted and played. So by the time it was 10 o'clock, I had already done like 4 hours of basketball, and I would have the rest of the summer day to myself. So that's kind of how I prioritize myself, getting my basketball stuff done early, and then going and having fun. And that summer specifically, I also started playing really well because I was, doing all that extra work and playing with people that were older than me. When I went on my national circuit team, I started getting a little bit of national recognition. And that's when I started having college coaches coming to my practice. I had another teammate that actually went to the NBA, and we had coaches coming for him that would see me, coaches that were coming for me that would see him. And it worked out well because, we started kind of like helping each other out. And so there was games that summer going in my sophomore year, we would have like 25, 30 coaches from all across the country coming to watch us playing. And that's when I really saw a jump in, okay, there's a chance that I can do something special here and make it to the next level. So I obviously was able to kind of mature in a little bit over that year, started getting a little tension, had to kind of put, I still had really good friends in high school. When I was in high school, I was having fun, but I kind of had to make sure my priorities were straight here. So a lot of times it was like, gym before when I hang out with my friends, gym before I go to hit the pool with my friends. Like today I'm going on a boat with some of my friends to celebrate 4th of July. We prioritize this, so I have my priorities straight, sorry. And so going into junior year, I had gone on a couple visits, but COVID hit. And luckily I had gone on a visit to Stanford out of my own willing, like an unofficial visit, what they call it, where you have to pay for everything. But they take you out, they take you on tour, they treat you nice, going on all these dinners and stuff. And I went out there, and that was my unofficial visit. And when COVID hit, they canceled all visits, all official visits where they pay for your flights, they send you cars to your house to pick you up. It's crazy. They treat you so nice because they want you to go there. And because of COVID, I couldn't go on any official visits. And so I decided that I wanted to commit to Stanford. It was my dream school, and kind of everything worked out already. I had already gone on a visit. The school, obviously, academics is great, but basketball plays in a high conference. We play in the ACC now, so this past year we just played at Duke, North Carolina, crazy venues. And it's kind of cool to just see dreams, turn to reality in a sense because, that's the experience. But I decided to commit over COVID, which unfortunately I didn't get to go on my official visit, but after COVID ended, they got me on an official visit, so it was basically just a celebration weekend, so it was fun. But that's kind of when everything started jumping. My sophomore year, started getting a lot of college visits. Ended up going to committing to Stanford. Senior year, we had some games broadcasted nationally. We were having, I don't know if you guys know Capel, but the arena there's pretty big, and we would have big crowds, and so there was a lot of tension, buzzing and stuff. So everything was great, And then I get to college, and it's kind of a reset. I go back to being the freshman on varsity, kind of in a sense. Didn't play a ton. I was scrawny. I was like 172 after my senior year. Had to put on some weight, had to get stronger, be able to compete with guys that are 1 year away from going and playing the NBA. So it was kind of a reality shock. Okay, like it's another pathway. I gotta get to the top. And so freshman year, wasn't really playing a ton. Kind of broke myself into the rotation, started playing, getting minutes. We played UCLA. It was like my best game. I played really well. Started breaking the rotation, and I think I went on like a 20 game or like 13 game stretch where I was kind of playing like 18 minutes a game, which for a freshman is really good. And then I got sick, and me and my other teammate got sick, and our team went on like an 8-game winning streak without us. And so naturally, when you have a short rotation and it's working, unfortunately, I was the young guy. I was like the 9th man in rotation that broke into it, but ended up having to sit because, we were winning games without me, so it was what it was. So going into sophomore year, I was going to have a similar situation where I wasn't going to be, in the rotation as much. I would have to fight my way into it. And so I took a step back, and as much as it hurt my pride, I decided to redshirt. I said, okay, I'm going to save this year. I have 2 guys that played over me last year that are 5th and 6th year now. One's in the NBA now in the Nuggets, and one's playing overseas. So these guys were older than me. I had to take a step back and decided to redshirt my sophomore year, which is not common. For me during that redshirt year, I got a lot better. I ended up starting, I think, like 32 games last year for Stanford, being a starter, and for this year, pretty much looking to be a captain on the team with another year after this year. So, like I said from the beginning, from freshman year in high school to then senior year in high school, where things grew a lot, same things happening in college, just decided to stay this course. And yeah, that's pretty much my story. All started with my parents, but yeah.
Ryan, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your obstacles, and the key takeaway that I got out of this was I should have had more McDonald's breakfast burritos to play basketball at Stanford. With that being said, I know Ryan and our next panel member, Anya, have met and they've done some podcasts. With that, sorry, Anya, just lost my place there. I wanted to make sure I had a formal introduction here for Anya. Anya Ahuja is an 18-year-old dynamic teen, radio host, international MC, and award-winning public speaker. Notably, Anya is the youngest Indo-American radio host in the U.S. with The Weekly Show, a radio station, having begun her broadcast career at just 11 years old. Wow, okay. She also hosts the Global Lead podcast on Spotify. Anya just graduated from Hockaday School in Dallas and is going to be attending NYU in the fall, where she's going to continue her media as a tool for impact. And for more, if you can connect with her on Instagram, Facebook. Her Instagram handle is at RJ Anya Ahuja. That being said, I'd like to hand it over to her. Thank you, Anya.
Hi everybody, how are we doing? Good. Guys, we need some hype. I'm actually gonna stand up because I don't know if we said in the introduction, I am a radio host, but I'm also an MC, so I host events, and I've never talked to sitting down. It's kind of unnatural to me. I told you guys to stand up, but I got vetoed, so it's been rough. I know they're tall, their legs hurt. I'm like 5'5", so my legs are fine. I'm doing okay. But basically, again, my name is Anya. I grew up here in Plano and part of the audio community. The joke is that I always used to tag along with my cousins who are here as the third sibling because I'm also half audio, which means that we were involved, but not to the extent that I think I want to be now, because seeing now this community is so vibrant, and I wanted to wish everybody a happy 4th. It's Independence Day, and I'm glad that we're all here celebrating our culture, celebrating our own independence. And one thing about this panel that I realized while listening to everybody talk is that we're all exercising our independence in our own ways by doing things that are not super conventional for those of our race, those of our background, those of us who are being brought up in Texas. So I thought I'd tell you guys my own version of independence and my use of my free will, which is being a radio host. And I started my show when I was 11. And although it has changed my life now for the better, I'm going to go pursue media in New York. I've been able to be an MC, podcaster, I've been able to meet so many incredible people. Like getting to hear Ryan's story because I interviewed him was so inspirational, and there are so many other people that have enriched my life because of my interviewing. But when I was 11 and I started and I told people I wanted to do radio, people were very confused. Everybody's like, that's great, but like, what are you actually gonna do? You know what I mean? Because it's not your typical middle school extracurricular. It's an older medium, it's very nuanced, and it's for more seasoned voices. You're not really gonna expect like an 11-year-old with braces. Like when you're in your car, you're about to go home after a long day of practice, you're about to go home and drive home, what are you listening to? Are you thinking, hey, I'm gonna go listen to an 11-year-old say, here are the top 70s Bollywood hits? Does that sound good to anyone? So you were supposed to say yes. You're supposed to say, yes, Anya, I would definitely listen to you at 11. I was really bad at 11, it's okay. But that is one of we're talking about obstacles and things that kind of hinder our journey, and that was definitely one of them for me, is the public perception. But I decided to go forward with it anyways. I was 11 again, as we've been talking about. if you have supportive parents, there's so much you can do. So my parents have always been extremely supportive. You can tell with 2 cameras on me. That's my parents, shout out. They're like my professional videographers. I have a 3rd videographer really mad at me, my cousin. Again, family is extremely important, which is why when I started, they were extremely supportive. So I started off when I was 11, purely off of interest. The radio had always been something playing in my car. I don't know, for you guys who are a similar age to me, your parents probably listen to Fun Asia or something along that line, because that is their way to connect with their Desi heritage, and that is their way to stay connected to India from here, or at least that's what Dallas radio is. So I ended up getting a voice test as I reached out to the CEO of my first radio station, Shabna Morgyo. I reached out to her and I saw her at a party and I asked if I could go see her station. She was nice enough to give me a voice test and then set me up with another radio host where I co-hosted for a year because they didn't trust me alone. And then I ended up getting an hour myself later on. But the one thing that drew me to radio in the beginning is that it's a faceless type of media. For example, in KISS FM, you don't really know the voices behind the mic because to me, at that point in my life, that was not something that I was ready to do. I was not ready for people to see me. I'd rather you just hear me and listen to my music, because then, again, speaking of adversity, public speaking was something that was not associated with pleasant memories in my whole household, because my first public speaking opportunity, or not opportunity, where I was forced to do it, was I gave the eulogy for my younger sister's funeral when she passed away when I was 9 years old. So she passed away, and of course this is such a troubling time for the whole family, and someone needs to get up there and give the eulogy. And as her older sister, it was put upon me to do that. So since then, every time I thought of getting on a stage, using a mic, hearing my own voice back into this mic, all I think about is that moment of my life and how, I don't want to say traumatizing, because of course grief is a never-ending thing, but it was definitely something with a lot of negative emotions associated with it, which is why when I started radio, my only thing was I will not be on camera.